Why does good clothing matter growing up? Because if you don't wear Hollister, you're a stinky bitch.
Because I was like hot house and like hot.
We're totally using that for the cold lead.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be perfect. That's gonna be perfect.
Stinky bitch.
That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. You stinky. My name's Mohnish, and I'm your main host. Welcome to Real Talk. What's up, guys? On the podcast today, we answered two questions. Why does good clothing matter growing up? And the second question, how can someone actually dress in a way that's both A, who they are, and B, valued by others? It seems like an easy question, but the answer is much more developed and much more in-depth than I think you're thinking. It's a good episode. We got Kevin, Sanji, and Armi Leg in the studio with me. Definitely tune in. It's a good one. The big misconception is that, at least when I was a kid, I thought that if I had the perfect clothes and I looked the right way and I had the perfect jeans and I had the right moose in the right place, I would be popular. It's a factor in popularity for sure, but it's definitely not the magic bullet that you think it is. I remember, Kevin, how obsessed were you with clothes and wearing the right clothes when you were in high school?
I was definitely super in tune with what I was wearing.
And this is in complete contrast with Armi, who basically went to school in his pajamas. And,
Not basically.
No. He went to private school. He wore his khaki short, 9-inch inseam above the knee. In polo. Yeah.
You sound like Severus Snape. Yeah, no. Basically, Armi, how would you describe your clothing? It was basically a homeless person, correct?
Yeah, it was a little better than that. It was like if you took like a third grader's wardrobe and then like dumped it on the street and a homeless person wore that for a week. Like that's kind of that's like kind of where I was going. I mean, I basically wore pajamas or gym shorts and an old t-shirt every single day. And if it was cold, I wore a hoodie. And that's in high school. In middle school, we actually did have to wear a uniform because I went to private school.
Private school.
And that was just khaki pants or shorts. And basically any kind of pants or like kind of dressy looking shorts like chinos and stuff. And then a polo shirt. That was it.
Kevin, you said you were really in tune high school. What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was not by any means the best dressed person in high school. In fact, I was nowhere close. But I was always paying attention to what I was wearing, and I was usually basing it off of what all the other cool kids were wearing. There was a point in high school where I got like Adidas, like high top shoes, which is something.
Oh my God, I had the same shoes.
I would not in a fucking million years wear those today, ever. In fact, I'll never wear those again. Anything that
instead, you wear Sperry's now, which might be equally as douchey.
I gotta look like a frat star. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I just was hopping onto the trendy fashion trends of high school. I never bought the preppy brands. I was more of like the like urban looking type. But I also didn't have the money to spend on a lot of the popular urban brands. Like, I had like one pair of shoes that would last me 2 years, like my Adidas high tops that I had for a very long time. I went through a lot of phases for what I looked like. I think, when I was in late elementary school, going into middle school, I had my skater phase, and then at the end of middle school, I tried to adopt a kind of not preppy, but like athletic type phase. You know, I only wore Nike and those big brands.
Me and you both went through a sports phase. I remember wanting to join the football team because they wore the jersey, and on Friday night when they were basically they had to play, basically wearing the jersey was a signal of status. Like, hey, I'm at least this cool, right? I'm basically right. I'm not because if you were on the football team before, if you were on any sports team, you had to be a baseline level of cool, right? They gave you a baseline level of cool, right?
Definitely.
Right. Dude, I had a phase. And the crazy thing about the sports, the big thing about clothing is that it ties in, it's basically signaling theory, but as literal as it gets, right? So signaling theory is basically a concept in psych where we do things because they signal traits to other people, right? The reason I crack a joke is because I'm trying to signal, like the theory goes, I'm trying to signal to the world that, hey, I'm intelligent, even though every one of this podcast, we're all idiots, right? Especially
Kevin.
Armi?
Yep.
Armi?
Come on,
Armi?
no.
Armi.
Come on, bring it in. Give me your best shot, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, but basically, signaling theory works beautifully, especially with clothing, right? Because when we wear clothes, we're trying to signal traits to other people about who we are on the inside. The thing about, you can kind of tell this from people who, you can tell what people are insecure about. This is not for everyone, but you can tell what people are insecure about by the things they wear and what they hint at, right? If someone is like, I tried to make the basketball team, right? I was super, super insecure about the fact that I was not athletic at all, right? I was a skinny Indian kid who basically, if someone like kind of blew in my general direction, I would fall over into a pile of bones.
Whoa.
It happened to me about 7 times a week, right? And basically,
the AC turns on and you have to restabilize when you're standing.
God damn it, Mr. Schmally, put on the AC next to me. You know that always gets me into a pile of bones. No, and I try to make the basketball team 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and by 11th grade I was like, fuck this bullshit. I am done, right? And by junior
I want to also say that Mohnish is tall as fuck. He's like,
yes, I'm 6'4". Everyone walks into me and they're like, hey, why are you talking to me? Shouldn't you be playing basketball somewhere else? And I'm like, oh yeah, you're totally correct. And dude, by the way, if you're tall, and I get this all the time, like, hey, you should be playing basketball, right? I was so insecure about, I was so insecure about the fact that I could not play basketball and I was not athletic, right? I eventually just by practice and virtue of doing a lot, I got to a point where I was like, I was good, but I was never good enough to make the team. And that sucked, right?
There were like 5'5" kids on the team, Moni.
Right. There were kids.
Probably cheer yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, and but the thing was that I was wearing Jordans all the time. I was wearing Under Armour. I made sure to get the plain white t-shirt or the plain navy blue t-shirt with an Under Armour logo on it because it signaled to people, hey, he's kind of athletic. And I didn't even.
Like, I'm athletic. I play sports. I get pussy.
Right. And when I bought that shirt, the only thought in my head was, that looks cool. There's no part of me that was like, oh, I am unconsciously signaling to the world that I am unathletic, and I want to signal to the world instead that I am athletic. And no, I never thought, none of that shit came to me.
Right.
That was completely retrospective. And I remember there were times when I wore tons of Hollister. And as Armi would say, I was not a stinky bitch. and probably the most ridiculous put down of all time, by the way. You stinky bitch.
You didn't even wear Hollister? Oh my god, you're a stinky bitch.
You stinky bitch. I'm using that. I just like,
dude, I've been calling my brother that for years. Like, we'll get in a conversation.
It's an Army like original. Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay.
Basically, yeah. Like, we have so many weird phrases like that. It doesn't make, like, goose butter, like all sorts of weird.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm actually.
Oh my god.
Funny that you say that because me and Kevin have a really good friend, and I call her the Goose because I call her a goose when she refuse to go to a scary movie.
I
That
don't know why, but it's so accurate. I have no idea.
I
She's
was
such a
like,
fucking.
you're a goose, a goose. I got, yeah.
Anyway,
Those are something, huh?
The key consideration here, the key thing here is that the clothing that you wear needs to come at a very distinct intersection between A, who you are, and B, what's valued by others. Like, here's the thing, is that being like, oh, like, if people judge me by my clothes, like, fuck them, like, I'm who I am on the inside. Here's the thing, there's nothing more important than who you are on the inside, right? Those are, right. The thing is that not
the amount of likes you get on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But yeah, it's another podcast.
Google Plus.
Anyway.
yeah. But here, what'd you say, Armi?
Google Plus.
Some
Right.
historic.
There is one. I guarantee you, there's one Real Talk listener who's like on Google Plus trying to make it as a celebrity, just like.
well, Real Talk's not going in my circle. I'll tell you that.
Oh my god. Basically, the thing is, clothing, while on one level it is absolutely very superficial, on another level it's not. We all judge people. We all make instant opinions on people by what we see in front of them because we don't have the time to talk and investigate and sort of meander through the nuances of what people's beliefs are and how they view the world and how they're like, right? A lot of most of the people that most of the people that you're ever going to see just around, you're never going to talk to, right? But the clothing that you wear, right? The things that you do that are sort of outward external signals, those matter because it's a filter in which other people can sort of view who you are, right? So imagine you walk into a bar, right? And you are wearing Ed Hardy. That is a very different message to the world than if you were wearing, say, a plain red t-shirt and nice jeans, right?
Like a plain wife beater.
Hey, fucking, come over here with Ronnie and watch the Jets,
Let's watch the Jets.
Basically, Ed Hardy screams douchebag, right? And that's a signal that if you're, I don't know, if you're from the fucking Jersey Shore, and that signal works, right? That signal absolutely like people like that's right. But you have to understand what this signals to other people, and clothes are important, dude. You should be cognizant of what you're wearing.
It's funny. Finding you touched on this earlier. Finding that balance of who you are versus what looks good. I don't know how you put it, but
that's exactly how I put it. But thanks.
Oh yeah.
You're like, let me say exactly what you said. I don't know how you put it, but let me say exactly what you said.
When I was in late middle school, like I said, I had this kind of athletic phase, and I'm a fairly athletic person in the first place, but it's definitely something I was insecure about, and I was mostly insecure about it because I think it often translated to popularity in school. The super athletic kids were the ones who were super popular. So I started wearing jerseys and stuff like that, specifically football jerseys. And I don't know fucking shit about football. Like, I love playing the game, but I don't know shit about the NFL whatsoever. And it signaled to other people that, oh, well, maybe he really likes football. And people would try to talk to me about football. Even sometimes the kids who I thought were popular, I'd come wearing an Eli Manning jersey.
Hey, Kevin, how about that Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning. Fuck, let me get my phone out.
Yeah, I'd be like, let me just consult Google really quick. And then
Peyton
I'll
Manning, he's a great coach for the Chicago Cleveland Cavaliers. Fuck.
Yeah, basically, I was wearing football jerseys to look cool and to signal to other people, look at me, like I can be popular too, I can look sick. And then I looked like a fucking idiot because when people would want to talk to me about football, which happened often because I was wearing a football jersey, I had no clue what I was saying. And it very quickly turned into me just being an idiot and realizing that I needed to wear something that kind of accurately signaled what a type of person that I was, rather than trying to dress this way just to look sick.
Right. The intersection of who you are and what's valued by others, you can go wrong if you're very strong in one direction, right? So say you're like look, there's nothing there's nothing intrinsically wrong with this, but say you dress like a fucking vampire, right? And you dress in all black. And the thing is, that's usually a signal of, I dress like who I am, and my heart is a dark pit, a black hole.
Nobody gets me.
Right.
I read Edgar Allan Poe all fucking day.
Yeah. Right. He's got the fucking
Close to Raven.
he's got a framed version of the Raven just in his room.
Right.
But here's the thing: if that's who you are, it's fine. But understand you are signaling something very specific to other people. So when people are hesitant to be your friend, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised at all. Right. On the other end, you can just be a complete sellout like I was. And I just wore what everyone else was wearing, even if I hated it. Right. I didn't feel comfortable in my clothes. I'd buy like Hollister, Abercrombie. I remember for weeks I would try to save up money just to buy a moose necklace. And when I got it,
What the fuck is moose? Sorry to interrupt, but like, what is moose?
Moose is the logo for Abercrombie and Fitch. And Abercrombie and Fitch.
When I was a young skater, me and my small group of skater friends in elementary school and early middle school, we called all the preppy popular kids mooses because had that logo on everything they wore. And that was like, if we called you a moose, that was the worst insult ever. It was like we were just really attacking your character. Like, oh, look at Danielle. She's a fucking moose. And then we would just shout like, moose. And then, so that we had a big rivalry over.
Yeah, as you guys would go home and just cry and masturbate.
Masturbate while skateboarding as well.
The key thing here is, of course, is that balance is hard to nail and something everyone's trying to figure out, right? And also that balance changes over different contexts, over different socioeconomic conditions, over different cultures, different time periods. So if you're growing up and you're unsure of your identity, which many kids are, it takes figuring out what clothing matches who you are really difficult. Like if you don't know who you are, compounded with the fact that you are unaware of who you are in clothing and then what other people value, and you're just confused, it's going to make it all the more difficult, right? So like most people, the evolution of basically identity development starts from 13 to, I want to say, to 19, right? That's where most people sort of go through, and people can waver outside. There's people who are 20 that have no idea who they are, right? But most of identity development comes from 13 to 19. I want to say for me, that was actually extremely accurate. For me, it was more like 13 to 20. But like, I mean, there's a surety when you're very assured in who you are. It makes picking clothing that reflects who you are pretty easy. A good way to figure out like what you're signaling and stuff is to sort of look up pictures of people wearing clothes. And the first thought, usually people
Googling.
Usually people Google the opposite, but you can Google people with clothes on, and if you see someone and you're like, I think this about them, I think they have this personality, and it matches who you are. No, that's sort of a general guideline of where you want to go, right?
Right.
The key thing here is that your clothes is sort of an evolution, right? From adolescence to adulthood, you're just gonna get better and better at adding and subtracting what clothes to wear, what not to wear, and also
then eventually everybody ends up looking like a typical dad, wearing like a polo and like dad very light
khakis.
It's
baggy khakis and some New Balance shoes. I mean, that's what the evolvement of your fashion sense is ultimately going to lead to. So
regression to the mean.
This was from Charlie's interview, but basically there's something where he referenced The Simpsons, and basically you can tell when people peaked because that's when their wardrobe freezes, right? Just fucking freezes, like disco stew, like just like and you can just there's a point where clothing evolution for most people is kind of like a bell curve. You don't want it to be like that. You want it to be straight up, right? You just keep on getting better and better. But for most people, it's a bell curve, right? you get to the top, and then you're just like, I'm at the pinnacle of achievement. And then even as times and contexts and conditions change, you're still wearing the same shit, right? So,
yeah. No, I think like at least for me, because like we said, I basically like most kids in middle school, I think have a more typical experience like you guys, where it's like they go completely like kind of as much as they can towards like Hollister, Abercrombie, like all that kind of preppy, like typical stuff. I was kind of the opposite in that like I thought about doing that, but I just honestly didn't care like anything about clothes, which isn't really all great either. You know, like there, as we said, like there is some value in that. I ended up just looking really trashy for a lot of the time too. Like I just didn't.
Still do.
Thanks, Kevin. And yeah, like so for me it was more like figuring out, because I don't know, like I think just in the way I was raised, like with my family, bragging was always seen as like the worst thing you could do. And so I think if I had gone way over the top and started like, I don't know, wearing all sorts of fancy shit, like my dad told me this one story about how he had like a gold chain necklace when he was a kid. And he always told this story like it was some horrible thing he'd done. Like, yeah, like I killed my cat or something. I was like, yeah, I bought this stupid gold chain necklace. Thought it was so cool. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, so I was, yeah. So I was like,
your dad's a monster, Army.
Yeah. So I was determined not to do anything too like crazy in terms of wardrobe. But yeah, I mean,
Army
like
goes out
over
and buys
time,
a silver necklace.
yeah, I got a silver one instead. Yeah, like for me at least, it was just making gradual changes. And honestly, it was like looking at friends who I thought were well dressed but not, you know, over the top, and like, oh, like jeans, got it, like makes sense, or like just a well fitting T-shirt, stuff like that.
Getting classics and basics are basics for a reason. For me, I try to, me and Kevin, we all do, but we basically wear clothes that are just classic clothing, right? Like the classic Henley, a classic T-shirt, just a solid color, not too much pizzazz and logos and no dragons, right? I remember when I was a kid.
But wolves are okay.
3 wolves, yeah. And the really cool thing that I did was, if you have female friends, if you're a guy and you have, it's funny because girls always just across the board dress better than guys, just all the time. Like guys are just slobs. we just have like mustard, and we're like, oh, you know, oh, this shirt's still good. No, it's like, right. And across the board, if you have a friend who's a girl, that's awesome. Ask them to just pick out clothes and provide feedback, right? Giving them an honest assessment. Be like, hey, Jenny, you know the way I dress, is it good? And then just proceed to wait as she shits on your entire life, right? But getting that feedback, super, super important. For me personally, that it was really good to get my sister, who's like my best friend, to really just be like, yeah, Mohnish, you look stupid. Right?
Yeah, you look like a total loser, Mohnish. I don't want you in the family anymore.
Right. Sign these papers. You're officially disowned.
Yeah, of course.
As a matter of fact, I think we should hold a vote and get rid of Kevin right now because his wardrobe isn't up to snuff.
Army, I think this is just you. This is just you retaliating after we try to keep you off the podcast. The last yeah, he's trying to mount a coup right now against against Kevin. It's not working, brother.
I'm pulling a Fidel Castro. Yeah,
yeah, and above all else, it's funny just because I think no matter what we say, what Kevin, I'm going to put you on blast here a little bit, but Kevin thinks he dresses okay, when in fact he is the best dressed out of all of us, and he might be. Me and our friend Devin, we're making fun of you for this, but we were talking about how just everything that Kevin wears, even his long sleeve, it's like perfectly just right on the wrist. Like I always, when I get a hoodie, when I get anything, it's always like a little bit over, a little bit under where I want it to be. Kevin, perfect. And Kevin, I think, again, I'm putting him on blast here, and I'm also blowing up at the same time, but Kevin is an amazing dresser, but he's also of the same vein where he does not think he does not.
I'm almost finished. Keep going.
He does not think that he is the best. He's not that well dressed, and I wonder. And part of that is because when you're in high school, you tend to tie popularity and self-worth with clothing a lot, right? So you're very hypercritical of it, even though it's a factor among many, and it's not the ace in the hole that's gonna, give you the ticket to paradise, essentially.
Right. I think you brought up a point that is super important. I mean, if you want to look well as a whole, at the end of the day, I mean, you can experiment with so many different styles, but it's really not about style. It's about how your clothing fits you. You want clothing that fits you well because that's going to make you look the best. So when I shop for clothes, it takes me like sometimes just multiple visits to the store over a period of weeks just to find something that fits me the right way. And sometimes if I find a shirt that fits me the right way, and I'm just trying, I talk like I'm shopping all the time. Like this, I shop like every few months at the
right.
But I'm super picky with what I'm wearing because it's difficult to find something that does fit me well. But when something does fit me well, I'm gonna snag that bitch real quick. Because I'm about to look fly as hell. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. They did a study where basically this woman, was in a job interview. They had a video of it. There was one interview where she was wearing. People saw the video. One of them where she's wearing a blank T-shirt, and the other where she had a brand logo. Right, and across the board, people that saw that brand logo, they rated her as more successful, more likely to get the job, more likable, all these things. Right, on some level, brands do matter. Right, they just do. Right, because people. Right. On the other hand, no one wants to hang out with,
Kevin.
What'd you say?
Me? Yeah.
No one wants to hang out with Kevin and the podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And you don't need showboaty, sort of overcompensating bullshit to look good. Just the classics are pretty much fine. Fit
is everything.
Fit is everything. If you take one thing away from this, from anyone that knows anything about fashion, knows that fit is probably the fit, and also try to wear comfortable clothes, because if you wear clothes that you're comfortable in, then one that helps you do better in social situations. I kind of say that comfort and style is sort of like the hot and crazy scale.
That is a super important thing. Is if you are uncomfortable with what you're wearing, like I'd be uncomfortable if I wore, like back in the day in middle school. It's not like I was comfortable wearing football jerseys. They felt weird. I didn't like it. It just didn't fit myself.
It's essentially like putting a trash bag and wearing a trash bag to school.
So I felt as if I wasn't my best self because I wasn't comfortable in my clothes. I wasn't comfortable with what I was wearing. So now when I shop for clothes, I've kind of hit that. I've found that balance, which it's impossible to tell somebody how to find the balance of, what looks good versus what fits you the right way, what fits your personality. But I've kind of found it, I think. And because I've done that, I feel super comfortable just in every day when I'm walking around. I feel as if I'm able to engage in social situations to the best of my ability. I hate dressing up. I hate wearing suits and stuff like that. I know it's something I'm going to have to do at some point, but I hate it. I don't feel comfortable. When I wear a suit and I go into a job interview, even though I consider myself to be a decent interviewer, I'm still not at my best because I just feel like I'm wearing a suit. It doesn't.
That's actually one thing we should say before we finish this is that.
Oh, Army trying to wrap it up now.
Hey, sorry, man. Sorry. I was thinking of the last episode we did where you were like, so do you have any last thoughts? For some reason that was still in my head and I had the idea that you wanted to cut it off. Anyway, I just wanted to say that you have to be not just comfortable in terms of fit. Obviously, yes, like you said 1,000 fucking times, it has to fit you well. But also you have to be comfortable with what you're wearing. Even if you have a wonderfully tailored suit, but you don't like wearing suits, you're not going to be happy.
Exactly.
So if possible, it's best just to not wear it. I remember when I moved to Austin, Texas, I went to a few different conferences, both in fitness and entrepreneurship. And before I went to one of them, I bought this $300 sport coat. It wasn't anything crazy fancy, but it was just a little nicer. Like, I felt like I was like 18 years old. I felt like I was like, kind of a kid, didn't know what the hell I was doing. Just like now. and
Army's life is a dark hole where he's just trying to find a tunnel of lights. He's just constantly stumbling around. Where is happiness? Where's fulfillment? Where is my life leading?
Save me from this darkness.
I want to go back to private school.
So yeah, I bought this thing and I just never liked wearing it. It just like was obviously not worth it. And I was so much more comfortable in just a t-shirt or like a polo shirt that was always the better choice.
Yeah. So hey, if by all means, if you're comfortable wearing your vampire clothing, totally
or tuxedo.
Yeah. Whatever
they go back from tuxedo to vampire. Just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm a vampire. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm looking fly as fuck.
It's professional. But if that's what you're comfortable in, if that's just, I'm not even talking physically if it fits you, but if it just fits your personality and you just feel right wearing that shit, then go ahead. But I think it's important that you recognize that you're signaling certain things to other people and that they will look at you differently based on what you're wearing. Yeah, and that's
if you're an awesome person, right? Even if you're an amazing human being to hang out with. And it's not
you shouldn't say like, oh, it's bullshit how people judge you based on the way you look. I mean, we're biologically hardwired to do that. So it's not even worth complaining about.
Yeah. And you do it too. By the way, you might not say to yourself that you do, and you might have convinced yourself that you don't, but you do. And also, here's the thing that I also want to bring up. If the people you're trying to impress and the people that you care and value, right? I'm not talking about the popular kids. I'm talking about the people that you want to be friends with, people that you value their judgment, people you want to hang out with. They're all wearing dark clothing, and they value that.
Dude.
And they value that, then you know what? Go right the fuck ahead. You should wear clothing that sort of signals good traits to the people that you care about and the people that you want to be with and that you want to become and you want to sort of hang out with. And if I don't know if fucking in vampire school, if that's what the trend is, who am I to tell you to stop
Whatever
looking
helps
like
you juke on those vampire hoes, yeah.
Juke on the vampire bitches, fam. Follow your dreams.
Let's end every podcast like that.
Follow your
man,
dreams.
Follow your dreams, man.
Honestly,
just have, like,
aim for the planets, and you might land in the stars, dude.
No, dude, we should seriously go on like Facebook or Instagram and just look at inspirational like hashtags people have put on there from like people our age and just use that as a sign off for the podcast. Like, nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible if you believe.
I live for the nights I won't remember with friends I'll never forget.
That Drake line has been repeated maybe a million times.
I'll jump off my balcony. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
I'm gonna kill myself.
Last thoughts. Worry about what fits you well. Wear something that you're comfortable in. Have fun finding the balance between clothing that you think the style fits you and your personality, and clothing that fits well and signals positive things to other people. And Armi is disgusting. He wears trash bags for clothing.
Used trash bags. I just empty them out on the street and put them on.
So yeah, I mean, for last thoughts, yeah, just basically exactly what Kevin said.
Yeah, and like realtalk.com and like,
Just don't.
It's not realtalk.com, by the way. We are not.
I've been doing the fucking thing wrong the entire time. It's realtalkstudio.com.
Oh my God. On the interview that you did you say realtalk.com or do you say realtalkstudio.com?
I don't remember. I think I did do Real Talk Studio.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
The important thing is just don't dress like a stinky bitch. That's
yeah.
Remember.
Yeah, let's make that the podcast title. Don't dress like a stinky bitch. Basically just, don't dress like a stinky bitch. That's what we. And also don't conflate. You're going to conflate a lot of identity issues and a lot of who you are with the clothing you wear, and there's going to be a lot of turmoil around that. Know that these things, while a factor, it's not the factor. And hey, you know.
Hey, you know, it's a great fucking sale at Walmart right now. You know?
T-shirts, $2 a
New
piece.
Balance shoes. Yeah, you get those fucking baggy ass, you know, bright blue jeans that you can get.
Yo, what's going on? Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. That's awesome. If you liked that episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. If you review this podcast, I'll punch Kevin square in the dick. If you review this podcast, it'll help us get on the charts, and it'll mean the world to us. Special thanks goes to Armi for helping out with the research, Kevin for helping out with editing, Vishali for helping out with content, and CJ Beats for the music. This is Real Talk, signing off.